Losing a family member to suicide is becoming part of a club that nobody wants to join. The next speaker is Dana Whitmer, who knows personal effects. Her and her husband have lived in the area for nearly 30 years and have raised 2 sons here. However, her youngest son, Matthew, disappeared November 15, 2007, the same day a young man was seen to jump from the Golden Gate Bridge. And there is no evidence indicating, there is evidence that this is indicating this was Matthew. But the jump was never captured on any video, and his body was never recovered. So he continues to be considered a missing person, and will never be included in the official count. Please help me welcome Dana Whitmer.
Hi, my name is Dana Whitmer. One of my family members is a victim of suicide by jumping from the Golden Gate Bridge. My son Matthew was 20 years old when he disappeared. The jump was never recorded on video and his body was never recovered. Having a child missing for hours and then days is a nightmare for every parent. When that child has a mental illness, that anxiety changes into cold, hard fear. Matthew had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder after a suicide attempt at the age of 12. Schizoaffective disorder distorts a person's perception of reality, often with hallucinations and mixed in with depression. At the time Matthew disappeared, he was having symptoms again. In 4 seconds, our lives are changed forever. It takes 4 seconds from going over that railing to impacting with the water. 4 seconds when Matthew could do nothing, even if he had changed his mind. We all lose loved ones over the course of our lives. It's just a natural cycle. Sometimes death is expected, sometimes it's very accidental, but sometimes it can be prevented. And the knowledge of an unnecessary loss makes the pain and grief of losing a child that much more unbearable. The knowledge that Matthew did not need to die that day will weigh heavy in my heart forever. Over 1,500 families, mostly from the Bay Area, know this pain emanates from a single source, the Golden Gate Bridge. It is a highly visible, incredibly beautiful architectural wonder, but it also carries the infamous title of Suicide Magnet of the World, and that totally dishonors such a beautiful national icon. For a person in deep emotional crisis, apprehensive and confused, unable to reason clearly, this bridge is too accessible and too available. When the victim is reacting impulsively, there's nothing to turn them away from the barrier. Keep in mind, this railing is low enough that a 5-year-old child, Marilyn DeMont, on her father's command, was able to climb over this barrier and fall to her death. Beginning in October of 1937, after the second known suicide, though frequently discussed, the Bridge District never took concrete action to prevent suicides until now, after 70 years. That's because those who are responsible for the safety of the people on that walkway have learned about suicide awareness and suicide prevention. They know that restricting access to lethal means will save lives. Unfortunately, it will take years for the barrier to be put into place. And that is why families like ours are working with Bridge Rail Foundation, our Bay Area representatives, to work with Congress to stop the suffering of over 30 families every year at this site alone. And there are things you can do to stop suicide. Primarily, get more informed. Get more informed about mental wellness, mental illness. Know the signs of suicide. Know what you need to do to prevent it. Because stigma is often what causes people from getting the help that they need. You can make sure guns are properly locked and secured. You can insist on smart and safe packaging for potentially lethal drugs and poisons. And you can insist on preventing access to highly lethal means, such as railway crossings and bridges. You can work with us, the surviving families of suicide victims, with the Bridge Rail Foundation, with national organizations like the Kristen Brooks Health Center, and with your congressional representatives to insist on proper safety barriers on bridges. Work with us to make the suicide net real. I ask each of you, though, if you feel despondent, if you feel suicidal, pick up the phone. Call a friend, call a crisis center, tell somebody how you're feeling, and just keep talking. As a mother who had to face the ultimate tragedy, I would like to say to the person who wrote that secret postcard, and who is the reason we're all here today. You do matter. You are wanted, and you can see by all the people here that they care and they want to help. Just let them. Just pick up the phone. And please, please don't jump. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Jade Chamness, who started the Breakthrough the Static Foundation for teenagers. Jade?
Dana's wonderful. Let's give her another hand. She inspires me so much. Hey guys. So my name is Jade Chamness, and I lost my father to suicide when I was 17 years old. I looked and looked and looked for a community to be a part of, a way to meet other teenagers like myself who had lost someone to suicide, and come to find out there was none. There were no direct service nonprofit organizations exclusively supporting teenagers who had lost a loved one to suicide. My grief felt so different from so many other of my friends who had lost someone to a more normalized death, and I desperately wanted to find a way to meet other teenagers who had lost someone to suicide. So last year, 2009, I decided to start that organization the 17-year-old Jade was looking for. Our organization is called Breakthrough the Static. We exclusively support teenagers who have lost a loved one to suicide. And our goal is to create an international, extraordinary, and essential community for these teenagers through a network of support groups, retreats, and camps. Our first support group, we're super excited, is starting next month in Palo Alto. We'll be supporting some of the teenagers who are friends with the students at Gun who took their own lives. And so that starts next month. Anyone is welcome to be involved. And we are starting, we're going to have a retreat this winter, a Tahoe trip, ski trip for high schoolers who have lost someone to suicide. So if there's any high schoolers here, we've got some free t-shirts over at our booth for you. And our website is breakthroughthestatic.org. You can find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Stay involved, and we'll be excited to hear from you. Thanks so much, you guys, and keep up the good work.
Sorry. Our next speaker is Kevin Hines. Kevin is an internationally known public speaker on the issues of living mentally well and preventing suicide. He has spoken to over 250,000 people in the last 10 years due to his own mental illness and attempted suicide at age 19. He feels lucky to be alive and thankful, and his goal is to speak to as many people as he can to reach out. So here he is to tell his story and to help raise his net.